はい、では、セッションの方を始めていきたいと思うんですけども、タイトル、Using WordPress as a Content Management Comment Site for Teacher Education ということで、このセッションは岩手大学准教授のジャニー先生にお話しいただきます。で、こちらにいらっしゃるサイモン先生、あと、田村さんはワークショップのサポートをしてくださいます。で、ジャニーさん、専門分野教師教育で8年間ワードプレスを学生のブログのプラットフォームとして使ってきました。でまたこの2年間はワードプレスを授業研究のツールとしても活用されています。サイモン先生は学校経営者でもあり、岩手県内の国公立大学院で英語の非常勤講師としても勤務されています。で、指導法をベースとした直接的としてオンラインのコミュニケーションにすごく、関心があるということです。でIT デベロッパーとして数々の教育プログラムに参加していまして、スマートフォンやモバイル端末を利用した教育利用のためのユニバーサルアクセスフレームワーク UAF プロジェクトの発展についても非常に関心があります。で田村さんは中学校の英語教師を目指す大学生で、コンピューター支援言語学習についても関心を持っています。でモバイル端末を使用した言語学習を学校教育における実現可能性について研究中だということです。ということで、ジャミさんよろしくお願いします。皆さん拍手お願いします。
Okay, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to thank the staff at WordCamp for giving us this opportunity to speak to you today. My name is James Hall. You can call me Jamie. I work at Iwate University, and I work in teacher education with Simon and my student Kodai. So my job is to teach students who want to become teachers how to teach English. Okay, that's my job. And Simon helps me, and Kodai offers some support with the technology. And so today, we're going to show you, not just talk about, but we're going to show you how we use WordPress in teacher education. So what I would like you to do is, if you could read this QR code in your phones, then you can see this page that we're on right here. And also, we'll be using the application together, this page together. So yeah, you'll need to have this on your phone. Okay? So hopefully, and if you can't read it, then Simon and Kodai are here to help. So if you're having a problem, you can't find the page, please, don't hesitate, raise your hands, let them know. We'll be very happy to help you. Okay, and then we also have Wi-Fi for this room too. Okay, so let me start. So yes, today's mission, our mission today is through hands-on experience, explore how WordPress content management and commenting can be used as a tool for helping teachers master their craft, helping teachers learn to teach. Okay? And let me just explain to you about our program at Iwate University. In our English teacher education program, we mix classwork with teaching experience. So that means that our students take English teaching methodology classes, and as part of their English teaching methodology class, they teach at a school, okay? And so what we want them to do is so they learn about how to teach English in the university classroom, and then they go to a school and they try to practice what they learned, okay? And almost always, the class does not go how they thought it would go, okay? Teaching is a very unpredictable profession. I mean, many professions are unpredictable. But the thing about teaching is that one technique might work with one class, but with a different class, it will fail miserably, okay? So as a teacher, you need to learn to think fast, and you need to be very flexible, okay? So our goal is to develop thinking teachers, okay? Teachers that can make appropriate judgments, okay? And teach the right way for particular students. That's our mission, okay? And we are using WordPress for this. So let me explain a little bit more about how we do lesson study, okay? So first, students study in their class, in the university class. Then they plan a lesson, okay? They plan a lesson and then they teach the lesson. While they are teaching the lesson, their lesson is being observed, all right? And those observers are writing comments into the lesson study application. Then, after teaching, they reflect on the lesson. They have the student teachers, after teaching a class, have a meeting with the people who observed their class. The people who observed their class are other student teachers or teachers. And they discuss about, what went well, what did not go well, and they use the comments for discussion. So, Japan is actually very famous for lesson study. Very, very, very famous. Many countries are copying Japan. And what lesson study is lesson study is teaching an open class, okay? And then after the open class, discussing it with others. The point of lesson study is not to criticize the teacher, okay? The point of lesson study is try to help the teacher teach the way that he or she wants to teach. Okay, so this is lesson study. So now we have developed a lesson study application, okay? So once upon a time, what we did is we actually did have an app that you would download onto your phone. But in the ending, it just proved easier to use if people didn't have to download anything and they could just access it through their browser. So now we're using it exclusively through a browser, all right? But I think, I looked up the definition of application, and app is defined as a digital application that can be used on PCs and portable devices via the internet, which is kind of what we're doing with a browser. So maybe we can still call it an app, I don't know. So we are calling it an app, lesson study app, all right? But if it's not an app, please tell me afterwards and give me a better name for it. Okay, so these are the essential functions that our app has to have, okay? The first is content management, okay? There's a lot of information about students' classes, but the information has to be very accessible. Second, regarding comment management, is that we want this to serve as a valuable reference for students and teachers, right? So let's say I'm a student teacher and I'm going to teach a class. Well, I want to be able to look at the classes that my seniors have taught in the past to inform me, okay? And then we want the knowledge or that student teachers have learned. So after student teachers teach a class, they have learned something from that experience. So we want other people to know very clearly what those student teachers learned from the experience. So that's what we mean by content management. Then we need user interaction. So basically, we need users to give feedback or receive feedback, okay? Give advice, receive advice. So user interaction. The third important essential function is privacy, okay? People are uploading pictures of students, all right? video of teachers teaching. And a lot of times these classes are not going well. We want to make sure that nobody but our members, our community members, sees this data, okay? So privacy is incredibly important. So these are our 3 essential functions, okay? So basically, for content management, WordPress does all that for us, okay? We use the WordPress organizing mechanisms, categories, tags, menus, okay, for organizing content. And then for interaction and privacy, we use plugins. And I'll be introducing the plugins later. Or the commenting plugin is something called WP Discuss with a Z. And then the membership management plugin is called Ultimate Member. All right, and we'll be showing you those later. Those are the big plugins that we're using. Okay, so we have WordPress plus plugins and boom, that gives us the lesson study app. All right, so I'm going to confuse you a little bit, okay? I said that we use the app in Japan, okay? Which we do. But we also use it in Thailand, right? We have a teaching internship in Thailand. My students go to Thailand and they teach Japanese and English to high school students in Thailand, okay, for 2 weeks. They teach kind of the same class over and over and over again to different students. The schools are very big. The schools have about 3,000 students, okay? Big schools. So this is just, so here's just a just brief video of, you can kind of see, okay, what the students are doing here. All right, well, looks like there's no volume, but anyway. Okay. Yes, so that's right. That's, you know, what, sorry, there is no volume. But you can see students teaching in Thailand, okay? So, and then this is the process again. Study, so in study, plan a lesson, teach a lesson, reflect a lesson. Reflect on the lesson. That is our process. Okay, so now what I would like to do is now we're going to use the app together, okay? And we're going to do a lesson study together. So, one of my students in Thailand did a class about Japanese pop music, okay? And she tried an information gap, and it did not go very well. So let me explain to you, wait, one more. Let me explain to you what an information gap is. We're going to do it. An information gap, it's like a technical word that's used in English teaching. And it's an activity in which you make a group of 2 people or a pair, or you can make groups of 3 people. We're going to make groups of 3 people today. Each person has different information, and they have to share their information with each other. That's an information gap, okay? So, why don't we make groups of 3 right now? So can you get in groups of 3 for me?
ちょっと周りの方と集まってグループになってるんですけど、そしたらここに座ってらっしゃる方は同じ方の方ですか？このグループの方ここに集まってる。で、そこに座ってらっしゃる方の前の後ろの方ちょっと多いんで、じゃあ2人ここに来ていただいて。で、その後グループ
Okay, so, can you hand out the sheet?
So there's 3 sheets. One has person A, person B, and person C. So make sure in your group everyone has a different sheet. Can you say that?
Okay, yeah, so we have 3 sheets, person A, person B. So each group, you have person A, person B, and person C. Okay?
C.
Okay, so, okay. I will explain the activity in a minute. So this is an actual activity that my student tried in Thailand, okay? She was teaching about J-pop. And this is her lesson plan right here, okay? So, in the greeting and introduction, my student was talked about the various J-pop artists, okay? Bump of Chicken, Nightmare, Tada Hikaru, those kinds of people. So she talked, and then she planned this information gap activity. And then after the information gap activity, students were supposed to listen to the different artists and discuss which ones they liked best, okay? And then at the very ending, students were supposed to say which of the artists' concerts they wanted to attend. That was the class, okay? But let's show you, I'll show you some, these are some video of students doing the information gap. Is there volume? Okay, so sorry, without volume, we'll work on the volume later. Without volume, you can't really, sorry, we can't. You could see, actually you could watch this on your phones if you want to, okay? But you see that in information gap, people are supposed to be talking to each other, right? But students were not talking to each other. They were looking at each other's worksheets and writing. Okay, that's what they were doing, okay? Or you'll see this is a video of a student right here, and this student was just sitting there like, right? A lot of students were doing that. Okay. So, what I would like to do is I would like to try this together, and let's consider what happened here. What could be wrong with this activity? So I'd like to try it together. So let me give you a demonstration of how to do it. All right. So, for example, let's say I am supposed to talk about Utada Hikaru. Okay. So this is Utada Hikaru. All right. And the genre is contemporary pop, and many of her songs are slow-paced. She sings, what do you think that word is? Clearly. She sings clearly. Okay? So, if you're the listener, you write in the words. Okay? If you look at your sheets, so for example, person A, you're going to talk about AKB48 and Nightmare. All right? Person B, you're going to talk about Chari Pamu Pamu and Bump of Chicken. Okay? Makes me hungry, Bump of Chicken. And then person C, you're going to talk about Hatsune Miku and Agashi. Okay? So, one more thing. This is lesson study, so we need some observers. We need some observers. We're going to do the activity, and I would like some people to walk around, observe, and write comments, okay? I'd like you to write either what do you like about the activity, which parts about this activity are difficult, how would you improve this activity? Or something else. Okay? So, we are going to need some people actually to be observers. And perhaps people who speak English very well can be observers. So, okay, you speak English well? All right. So you can be an observer, and could you be an observer too? All right. So we have iPads for you. Could you help them with the iPads? 1, 2 observers, and we need one more observer. One more observer. Somebody. Okay, thank you. So then, okay, great. So we have 1, 2, 3. You can be 3, and could you perhaps join those 2 right there so that we can make a group? So we have a 1, 2, 3 group, and then right there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because. Okay. So again, usually when I do this, mic. So, okay. Usually when I do this, we practice writing comments first, right? So I'm really putting our brave observers on the spot, okay? Because usually we have practice beforehand. So what I would like you to do is, this is lesson study. I would like you all to become high school students, okay? And I would like you to try this activity, and we are going to walk around and observe how you do the activity, okay? And write comments, okay? Yes, Mick Jagger, you can write comments. All right? Are you ready? No. So person A, why don't you start? Person A, why don't you read about, what is it, AKB 48 and somebody else? Who is it? Person A?
Nightmare.
And Nightmare. So person A, please read about AKB 48 and Nightmare, and B and C, please listen and write. Okay? All right. Thank you. Let's start.
Tamura is based in Tokyo. And it is the rule of member recommended song is to fall in the and the next one, mindful Nightman, journey, rock, and mental. Their characteristics are hyper-inner, unique, gem metal black. This is so positive and
Do you want to be an observer? I see. You're obsessed.
Who do you think characteristics?
はい、そうします。Okay. All right. So let's stop. Let's stop. So I know you're not finished. But yes, we only have. Oh, that group is finished. Okay, great. So I think that now we are at the reflect part of. Okay, so, we've just done teach and observe. And now we're going to do reflect. Okay? So what I would like to do is I would like to take a look at the comments that people have written. Okay? And I think, some you observers, you might have been logged in to the app accidentally as Thai teachers, because I see some comments from Thai teachers right now. So yeah, maybe.
I was Thai.
Okay.
Thai.
All right. Okay. So for example, Kodai has informed us that some groups understood and finished. All right. And who is Ajahn P? Okay. Is that you? Okay. Can you explain this to us?
I think students actually speak English is good in having conversation. Because in Japan, English education, we always just listen to teacher and never speak English actually. So that's good things for this session.
Okay. So one of the good things is that students were speaking English. Thank you. Okay. Okay. But then, so it's a good thing. We want students to speak. But who is teacher Beer? You're teacher Beer, okay?
Unfortunately, being high school students, there was some element of cheating, especially in this situation. One group had finished and another group was worried that they were too slow, so maybe conducting some copying was in progress. I think reading should be maybe instructed to read slowly and more clearly in the future for this lesson, so that was the purpose of this comment.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, again, as language teachers, we want students to use language in the class. That's the point of information gap, right? Students speak and share information, all right? But we were having the same problem in Thailand. In Thailand, it was much more severe. The majority of students actually didn't say anything. They just handed their paper to their friends, and their friends wrote. Okay? So, again, one of the things we would talk about in lesson study is, well, how do we prevent this? Okay? How do we prevent this? Okay? And Nestor.
What I observed is that the lesson was a little bit easy, and all of the alumni finished very quickly their task, or they found very easily the solution of them. So it's, from my point of view, maybe it could be a little bit more difficult.
Okay. So for this group of learners, it wasn't challenging enough, right? So again, I mean, that's the nature of education. You know, different classes are just different, right? So sometimes you have to make activities more difficult, or you have to make activities easier. All right. Yeah, and I would just say that I observed some groups at first were like, oh, how do we read this word, right? And that actually is what happened in Thailand too. Like, for example, we have the word genre, all right? Genre is a pretty difficult word, right? And most students didn't know what genre meant, okay? So one of the things we have to do is we need to, introduce difficult language before teaching, right? As a teacher, you need to predict what are the words that students are going to struggle with, and you need to make sure that they understand those words beforehand, okay? So, yes, so this is kind of the reflect part of the lesson. And then as a teacher, what I would do is at the bottom of the page, as a teacher, I would write what I learned, okay? So I look at all the comments, I think about the comments, I think about our discussion, and at the bottom of the page, I write what I learned, okay? And that's how we use the lesson study app, basically, okay? So now what I would like to do is I'd like to show you a little bit more about how we set up WordPress for the lesson study app, okay? So we're going to go to here. Okay, so again, it's the process. We have plan, teach, and reflect. Okay, so the plan process is basically the student teacher makes a post. All right, and the student teacher chooses a post category. So for example, if this class is about music, the student teacher would choose the category music. All right, and that post would appear in the music lesson page. That post would appear in the music lesson page, all right? Then they also embed a lesson plan into the post, right? So in today's post, I embedded the music lesson plan, all right? So if I'm a teacher, I go to the class, I see the lesson page, and I can see the teacher's lesson plan and know what the teacher's trying to do, okay, if I'm an observer. All right? Then the teacher writes issues to observe. So basically, the teacher makes a request to observers about what they want the observers to concentrate on. Right? So today I asked you to concentrate on, what were parts of the activity that you liked, which you shared with me. Like, for example, the students are talking, that's great. What are parts of the activity that need to be improved? Maybe it's too easy for these students. Okay, some students are looking at each other's sheets. Okay, so you told me that. And then last, they give a tag to a page. Okay, maybe I would tag this page information gap. All right, so then if a student wants, for example, if a student teacher next year wants to know, oh, how were information gap activities done in Thailand, they can click on the information gap tag and see all the posts related to information gap. All right? Then what the administrator has to do, the administrator has to make sure the commenting form is correct. Okay? So we can, with WP Discuss, we can put a different commenting form on each page. All right? The administrator has to set the privacy. So today, this page is open. Usually, it's not open. Okay? Usually, you can't access lesson pages if you're not logged in. Okay, so it has to make sure the privacy is all set. And yes, has to make sure instructors have done 1 to 4. So student teachers sometimes don't make posts, don't choose the correct category, don't embed their lesson plan, or don't write issues to observe. So you have to give the student teacher a little kick, okay, and say, do your job. Okay, part of a teacher's work. Okay, so that's the plan. And then in teach and observe, okay, basically the observer has to log into the website and find the page. So we have to make the page really easy to find, all right? And then the observer has to write comments while observing. And this itself is actually very difficult. It's difficult to multitask, to observe, pay attention to the class, and use the app to write comments. And actually, not everybody can do it. We have to practice it. And some people are just, I can't do it. Some people say, just can't do it. All right. Some teachers will write comments after the class, but during the class, they just say, sorry, no way, I can't do it. Okay? And then also when you observe, you can also take pictures and add video into the comments. Okay? So, and that can be very valuable, video showing how students are actually doing the work. All right? And then the last, step 3, is learn or reflect. I changed this to reflect, okay? So here, the teacher reviews the comments with the observers. The teacher writes what they learned on the lesson page, okay? So below on the bottom of this page here, I would write what I learned, okay? And we also have student e-portfolios, all right? Here, we have student e-portfolios. At the very ending, so this is the music girl right here. And at the very ending, students write what they learned from this whole teaching experience on their e-portfolios. This is a multi-author site. So the music girl, she wrote about how her teaching changed in Thailand, how her language learning beliefs changed, how her worldview changed, right here. And she also wrote about critical incidents, something, experience that happened in the classroom that led to a new discovery about teaching language, okay? So, those are the 3 steps. So, this is a list of the necessary functions. So, content, user interaction using WP Discuss, and privacy using Ultimate Member, okay? So, I would like to talk a little bit about some maybe issues we're having, okay? So I've already talked about the necessary functions, okay? So issues that we are having. One is we're archiving information, lots of important information, okay? But how do we make that information accessible, especially to people who are using the app for the first time, okay? I'll show you the front page. I'll show you the front page. And there's lots of information here. And basically, I think 3 minutes. All right. Only 3 minutes, and you guys have to talk. So, I will say, right, so what we have here is we have hot news. And usually under hot news, the most recent lesson study page will be here. So that's how, first-time users, all right? And then, yes, so keep on going. And I'll talk about one big issue we're having, and that's with privacy. And I think, in my opinion, this is maybe one of the faults of WordPress, is that in WordPress, each media file, like picture and video, has its own URL. So theoretically, if someone's not logged in, if they could somehow find out the URL, they could access video and pictures. And these are things we don't want outsiders to see. So what I did is, on the internet, I just found some code that you could copy and paste into the HT access file, okay? And and if you copy and paste this code, then it does not permit people who are not logged in to see media files, okay? But then the problem is there's some pages and some pictures that I want people who are not logged in to see. But that won't happen with this code, right? So yes, that is one issue, one of the big issues, okay? So I would like maybe to have Simon and Kodai say some final words.
Thank you, Jamie. This community that we've developed using WordPress has gone through a lot of trials. We're using a front-end WordPress Discuss plugin We did trial the WordPress blogging. However, we thought the front end worked a lot better for teachers. We're creating something that can share information as well as interact and collaborate with not just students, but also training teachers, Thai teachers, Japanese teachers, and so on. So we're really happy that we've learned a lot from this WordPress about what WordPress means as a community and how we can use this application as a community in the future.
じゃあ日本語で言います。従来の、授業研究だと、ノートを使って後で話し合うときにそれを全部バーッと口で喋るっていう形が一般的なんですけど、やっぱこの、レッスンスタディアップを使うことによって、その都度やっぱ思ったことをすぐ書き込めるということで、それを全部共有することができるというのが一つ大きな強みなんじゃないかと思います。で、あとさっき先生もおっしゃっていた通り、映像っていうも確かなものがあるので、それで見ることができると思っているんですが、その学習が、失礼しました。それをやっていく上で、やっぱり教育っていうのが、やっぱり日本の中でのそのワードプレスの、開発で教育の分野に関しての開発ってあまり進んでないので、やっぱりそれを我々がやらなければならないという現状がありますので、やはりそれが、どうしても、今の私たちの課題の一つでもないのかなと思っております。
So I'd like to say thank you for attending, thank you for listening, and thank you for participating. We're very grateful. And we hope that you have a nice weekend in Tokyo and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.